Today in this video, we are going to write our first SQL query. So be excited and stay till the end. Hey everyone and welcome back to my channel, Decode with Akshay. So today, as promised in my previous video, we will be starting to learn how to write the SQL queries. So today in this video, we are going to cover DDL, which is Data Definition Language Commands. So before starting this, let's understand what are DDL or Data Definition Language and why they are used. So these commands are used to shape your database structure. In today's topic, we will be covering three aspects. One, how to create a database using SQL queries, how to create a table using SQL queries, and the final thing is how to alter a table using SQL queries. So let's not hold your excitement for the longer time. So I'll quickly share my screen and explain you what are these SQL commands. Now we have already got a very good idea about DDL, which is Data Definition Language. Now let's quickly start writing our first query, which will be creating a database. So this query is very much simple to understand and this query contains only two words. So I'll quickly show you how to create a database. So now to create a database, as I mentioned, you need to write only create database, and the input which you need to give is the name of the database. The name of the database can be anything which might be upon your requirement, right? So you can give any name to your database. So now this is our first database. So I would like to give the name as first database. That's it. So now if you run this query, so your first database will be created. So let me run this query. So to run this query, I will be using an execute button here, which is already available in the application. So I'll just select this query, and if I just click on this execute button, you will get an message from Microsoft SQL that command completed successfully. So this means that your database is created successfully. So now let's verify whether our database is actually created or not. For that, I will go to the database section which is available here. I'll just click on this plus button. So now you can see there is only two database available, which is my data and my employees. But you can see my first data is not yet created. So for that, I'll just refresh this pane and again try to open this. Yes, so here you can see our first database is been created. Now let's quickly jump like how to create a table using an SQL query. So before creating a table in SQL, you need to tell SQL that in which database your table needs to be created. And for that, you need to write this SQL statement, which is use first database. So this first database is your database you just created now. So if I run this, if I execute this, so your command will successfully be executed. And now whatever the tables you create, that will be stored successfully or created in this database itself. So this is a very good practice to follow so that the cross import of tables will not occur. So now quickly let's create our first table. So to create the table, there is a very simple SQL statement which is called as create table, which is very much self-explanatory. Now the next step what you have to do is you have to give the name of the table. So so just to keep it very simple, what I'll be doing is I'll be just giving the name of the table as first table itself. So we have written a statement called as create table and we have given the name of the table. Now the next step, what you have to do is you have to mention the column names which has to be presented in your table. So I open a bracket and I will start specifying the column names which I want in my table. So the first column might be ID. I want an ID number, and with this column name you also have to specify the data type. Now, what is a data type is, so for example, in column ID, so column ID will contain only the numbers. So if you want your ID column to have only numbers inside it, then you have to specify it as integer. Similarly, just an example, you have a column name as name, for example, or I would say first name, right? So first name obviously will consider alphabets. So in this case, the data type will be varchar. So if you need the list of all these data types, so I will mention that in my description, or I would say if you want a video on that also, I can create on that, right? So now I'll just clear this out. So our first column is ID, which is an integer. So integer in simple terms, it is a numeric column. So the next one, I would say employee name, for example. Just take very simple and generic examples. Employee name, varchar, which will be an alphabetical column, and also you can specify the limit for this. So if I specify in my bracket that it should be 50, that means that my employee name, so my each record in employee name will not exceed 50 letters. So I have specified the limit for this. So let's take the last column, just an example. Let's take phone number, and let's again keep it as integer, and that's it. So now I will close my bracket here, which is already opened here. So I have open one bracket, and I'll close the similar one. So this is how your entire create table query looks like. So now just to verify it, I will just run this out. I'll just execute it. So my command is successfully completed. So now let's check whether my table has been created or not. So I'll go to my first database section, go to table section, and let's see my first, yeah, so here it is. So my first table has been created. So this is how we create a table in SQL. Now, as we already know how to create a table using an SQL query, now let's quickly understand how to alter a table using the SQL query. So altering the table, I mean, so you can see on my screen the table which is having the columns like employee ID, first name, last name, department ID, salary, and hire date. So this table can be altered. Altered, I mean the changes can be made to this table. So now what changes can be made to this table is you can add a column, you can delete a column, you can change the data type of any column, and so on. So today, as we are covering our first SQL query, so I'll just teach you today how to add and delete a column to a table using alter statement, right? So quickly, let's start the first alter statement example by adding a column to this table. So I want to add a column named gender, which will be an alphabetical column. So in the gender, I'll be having the values either male or female. So which will be an alphabetical column. So now let's quickly write the alter table statement. So to add a column to a particular table, the first simple step to do is you have to just write alter table. So this is the keyword. So by writing this, SQL will understand that we are going to alter the contents or alter the contents of the table. Now the next step is very simple. You have to give the name of the table. So my name of the table is employees data, right? So I'll simply type employees data, right? Now the next thing you need to do is if you're adding a table, or sorry, if you're adding a column to a table, you just need to add a keyword called as add, right? You have to type add. Now the next thing is to write the new column name which you're going to add to the table. So my column name is gender. So once you specify the column name, Now we have to provide the data type of that particular column, which is gender. So it will be an alphabetical column. So same as we did it in create table statement. So we'll also be adding the data type as varchar, which is an alphabetical column, which states that gender column is an alphabetical column. So you can also provide the limit as we provided for create table. For example, I would like to provide the limit of 10, and that's it. So this two lines of query will create a new column in your existing table. So let's quickly run this and I'll show you how the column has been created. So I'll select this entire query and just click on this execute button. So now this shows my command is successfully executed. Now let's see whether my column is been created to this table or not. So for this, I'll just click on this table, click on the plus icon. I'll just refresh this once so that the changes gets reflected. So I'll just click on this plus button. So you can see I have a column section here. I'll just click on plus. So you can see the new column gender has been created. Now quickly let's see the second example where I want to delete a column from a table. So let's take this gender column itself. So now we want to delete this gender column from this table. So what changes will be made to this existing query? So I'll just again type alter table followed by the table name, employees data. Now the only change when you are deleting a column is instead of add in the previous example, you need to write it something called as drop column, which is very much self-explanatory, right? So you have to write drop column and the column name which you want to delete from your table. That's it. Again, this is a two-line code, but this two-line code will delete your gender column from your table. So I'll just select this part of the query and execute. Yes, so my query is successfully executed. Now let's check whether this column has been deleted or not. Yes, I just refreshed it. Let's go to the table, columns. Yes, now you can see the gender column is now not visible in this particular column list, which means that the gender column has been deleted. So in my further videos, I'll be again showing you much more use cases of alter table statement. So as of now, this is the first query you're learning the basics. So these two examples is enough to understand the alter table statement. Now let's do a quick recap regarding what we learned in this video. The first thing we learned is to create a database. So to create a database, you have to just write create database keyword followed by the database name and your database will be created. So the next thing is to create a table. So for this also, you just need to type the keyword create table followed by the table name. But you also need to add the column name with its data type. So ID you have provided integer, employee name as varchar and so on. Additionally, you can also provide a limit to your column. In this case for employee name, we have provided 50 limit so that it restricts only to the the employee name to only 50 characters, right? So the next thing we learned is how to alter a table. So in the first case, we learned how to add a column in a particular table. So we added a column named as gender, also providing a data limit of 10 characters by providing its data type. So the last example which we learned is how to delete a particular column from a table. So you can just delete by using alter table statement by also providing the keyword of drop column. So this was all about data definition language in today's video. In my next video, I will be covering DML, which is data manipulation language and its SQL command. Please subscribe to my channel if you have not subscribed yet, and also stay tuned with my SQL series for more videos. Till then, take care. See you in the next video.